Hello guys, how are you doing? I'm going to do this quick video about common questions and verifications that at least my students have when they use this calculator TI-36X Pro, which is a very nice calculator, by the way, for the level that we are handling. And this calculator, by the way, is approved by the NCEES, which is the organization in charge of the FE exam and the PE exam. So let's turn it on. So the first thing that I will strongly recommend you to do is just check if you are in degrees or you are in radians. You see, you can see it here that it says radians, but in case that you don't see it, the easiest way for me to do is just calculating the tangent of 45 degrees, which I know is supposed to be 1, and it's not 1. So do that, please, before you use the calculator for anything that deals with sine, cosine, tangent, and such. The way you fix that, you just go to mode, and you see the radian there is marked, so you just hit enter in degrees, and then you can clear and go back. And now if you say tangent 45, then it's going to get 1. Now you are ready to go. That's the first verification. It could happen also that when you are working, somehow your calculator starts doing stuff like this, for example. 2.1 times 987, and then you get this type of notation. This is called scientific notation. If you don't want the scientific notation, you go back and you change that in mode as well, and then you go down and you hit enter in normal, and now when you do the same operation or whatever operation you want to do, now you get the normal numbers that at least I am expecting you to use in your exams and tests. Now the other thing that can happen also, and happens a lot, is if you do something like this, then you are getting numbers like a square root of second function square root of 5, for example, and you come 2.24. Or even worse, if you multiply that times 0.000001, then you get 0, which is not correct. It's not 0. And that happens because in mode, again, it's selected only 2 decimal places. Please keep your calculator in float. And when you keep your calculator in float, now when you say the same thing, square root of 5, for example, you get all the decimal places. Keep the calculator in float in that part. Another thing that I have seen, especially when electrical engineers use the calculator before you use it, is that you have something and you start working with the calculator 35, and then you get 35H instead of 35. And that happens because the calculator is in hexadecimal instead of being decimal. So you have to go to mode again, and you see here it was in hexadecimal. You just change it to decimal, and you can quit or you can clear, and then when you say 5 or 35, you get the number, not in the hexadecimal. So change it to decimal because it's going to make your life way easier. Another thing, I receive these usually during exams and final exams, and people that never ever was in class or never used the calculator before. And the situation is something like that. If you say 5 divided by 2, it's 2.5, right? But a lot of times the calculator is just like that. 5 half multiplied by 3, and then you have 15 half and such in fractions. For engineering problems, or the type of engineering problems that we cover, fractions is not the best way to go, although you can. So you have two ways. You have this key here, and when you click that key, it gives you the decimal instead of the fraction, the real number. Or you can set it, second here, you can set it permanently in fractions, or you can set it permanently in numbers. Now when I multiply this by 3, I get the number instead of getting the fraction. So that in decimal also, with decimals, not with fractions, not fractions. Another question is, what is the exponential? What is the exponential? You know, e to the whatever, the exponential. Well, the exponential is, it can be found here. If you hit this once, you have pi. If you hit it twice, there you go, you have the exponential. That's where the exponential is. Another very common thing, one of the most common things actually, is you want to calculate the sine, or you calculate, you want to calculate the inverse of sine. For example, if I say sine, inverse sine of 0.8, if I say inverse sine, you see here sine, I hit it once and it's sine, and I hit it again and it's inverse sine. And then if I say 0.8, that's going to give you 53.13, which is the angle. And if I want to get the sine of the angle again, I just say sine 53.13, and then you get that, which virtually is 0.8. So one for sine, one for inverse sine, and if you hit it the third time, then you get the hyperbolic sine, which we don't use in this class. How to store in memory? That's a function that you might use also. And if you have a number that repeats a lot and you want to keep it in memory, it's very easy. So if they say that you have the number 2.54 and you're going to be using that number several times. So store in memory or recall also. If you want to store this in memory, the only thing that you have to do is you hit here where it says store, and then you assign a variable. These are your variables, and you can assign any variable that you want. If you hit a 1, you know, you have X or Y or Z or T or A. I want to store it in A, for example, and I hit enter. Now, if I want to use that number again and multiply 2 times A, I say 2 times, and then I say recall, second recall, and then I look for my variable A and hit enter again, and that will be the number. This is going to be the first video. I think these are the most common issues that I have seen, and keep watching because I'm going to do several videos how to solve system of equations of 2 unknowns, 3 unknowns, and so on. Thank you for watching, guys. See you later.